In 2100, the capital of the human race isn't New York or London. It's Huntsville, Alabama. This is the timeline of how a quiet southern town becomes the capital of the solar system. This is the timeline of the next 80 years. The transformation begins in the early 2030s. The commercial space industry hits a bottleneck. California is too expensive. Texas is too unregulated for the sensitive defense contracts coming down the pipe. And the Department of Defense is nervous. Corporate espionage is becoming a bigger threat than cost. The blueprints for the next generation of nuclear thermal rockets are leaking. In 2032, a historic joint agreement is signed, the Rocket City Pact. Blue Origin, SpaceX, and the major asteroid mining startups agree to centralize all heavy manufacturing in one place, Huntsville, Alabama. They choose it for one reason, the Redstone Arsenal. It already has the security infrastructure to keep secrets. Suddenly, the Silicon Valley exodus hits the Tennessee Valley. 10,000 engineers descend on Alabama in 5 years. We see the first massive factories arising in the Jetplex Industrial Park to build the Lunar Gateway modules. The skeleton of the Artemis V heavy lander is welded just miles from the Saturn V replica. In the distance, the first automated Psyche-class asteroid retrievers are prepped for transport. But progress has a price. Historic districts like Twickenham are preserved as living museums for the executives, but the surrounding neighborhoods, Terry Heights and West Huntsville, are leveled, bulldozed to make way for corporate campuses and server farms. A sharp, dangerous cultural divide forms. On the winding roads up Monte Sano, you see the new money engineers building glass fortresses in the gated community of the Ledges. Down in the valley, in South Huntsville, you see the old Alabamians, generational locals who find themselves priced out of their own heritage. The locals become the service class. They are the landscapers maintaining the gardens of the rocket-building elite. They are the janitors cleaning the clean rooms in Cummings Research Park. The resentment is simmering, but the checks are clearing. By the 2040s, the world has changed. Orbital debris and corporate warfare have made space hardware the most valuable commodity on Earth. Following a major act of industrial sabotage by a foreign state, a drone swarm attack on a propellant depot near Triana, the U.S. Space Force makes a drastic move. They designate Huntsville a national security citadel. In 2044, the Geofence goes up. A biometric perimeter is established around the city limits. Entry into Huntsville now requires a federal security clearance and a retinal scan. Privacy is officially abolished for the sake of security. To live in Huntsville is to be watched. Every transaction, every movement, every conversation is logged by the city's surveillance AI. This sparks the Sunday Revolt. In 2046, local church congregations in 5 Points, institutions that have stood for a century, refuse to scan their biometrics to attend service. They block the roads, they protest, they demand that God does not require a security clearance. The federal government, realizing they cannot alienate the entire support workforce, agrees to a compromise. They create civilian pockets. These are small, unmonitored zones, neighborhoods like Merrimack Mill Village and 5 Points, where the Old South still allowed to survive. Inside these pockets, the cameras are off, the data tracking stops. It creates a strange dual reality. You have the high-tech surveillance state where the rockets are built, and these small analog islands where the Old South still breathes. Huntsville becomes the safest city in America. But it is no longer free. Then, in the 2050s, the dream almost dies. The coastal collapse hits. A Category 6 hurricane stalls over the Florida coast for 3 days. The storm surge obliterates the launch pads at Cape Canaveral and Kennedy Space Center. The VAB is flooded. The primary gateways to the stars are underwater. The U.S. space program is paralyzed. Huntsville becomes the inland cape. While rockets can't launch vertically from the city, everything else consolidates here. Mission control, assembly, payload integration, astronaut training, it all moves to Alabama. The city undergoes a frantic, brutal expansion. The farmland of Limestone County is paved over for logistics hubs to absorb the refugees from Florida's Space Coast. The grid is failing, the infrastructure is cracking under the weight of the new population, and the heat is rising. It is 2056. A massive substation in Cummings Research Park blows during a heat wave. If the power stays off, the cryotanks holding fuel for the Mars fleet will vent, setting the program back 20 years. This is the moment the city heals its divide. A fourth-generation Huntsville electrician named Ray is dispatched to fix the transformer. He's joined by a SpaceX engineer from California, a man who designs propulsion systems but has never held a wrench in 110-degree heat. It is a brutal night. The humidity is 95%. Halfway through the repair, the engineer vomits from heat exhaustion. He collapses in the red clay mud, delirious. Ray doesn't leave him. He drags him into the shade of the truck. He forces him to drink water. He talks him through the panic. "We don't quit," Ray tells him. "Not down here." Ray keeps the engineer upright. The engineer talks Ray through the complex schematics of the new quantum grid. Together, the local laborer and the elite scientist finish the job. Neither man likes each other, but they realize they need each other. For the first time, that is enough. The lights come back on. The alliance is forged. By the 2060s, the wet bulb crisis hits the American South. Daytime highs regularly exceed limits where the human body can cool itself. To be outside at noon in the Tennessee Valley is to risk death. The city council faces a choice: build a dome or change the clock. They choose the clock. In 2062, the Nocturnal Turn is voted into law. Huntsville becomes America's first night city. The official work and school day runs from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. This saves the city, but it creates a visceral class system. The sun blockers, mostly the original locals living in the flatlands of Madison and South Huntsville, work the dangerous day shift. They are the ones maintaining the power grid, repairing the roads and guarding the gates while the sun blazes overhead. They live in the heat. The stargazers, the aerospace class, emerge at dusk. They live in the cool, elevated air of Green Mountain and Monte Sano. They work in climate-controlled labs and dine in open-air markets that have replaced the old shopping centers like Bridge Street. Southern hospitality evolves. The porch culture of the 20th century dies because no one sits outside in the day. It is replaced by a midnight market culture. The sound of crickets is replaced by the hum of heavy-lift drones and the chatter of engineers in the cool artificial light of the night. In the 2070s, the investment in space finally pays off on the ground. The first commercial space-based solar power station goes online. It is a massive array in geosynchronous orbit, collecting sunlight 24 hours a day. It beams that energy down via microwave to a receiving station built onto the flat top of Keogh Mountain. The result is staggering. While the rest of the United States suffers rolling brownouts due to heat stress on the fossil fuel grid, Huntsville has infinite clean power. The city becomes the power broker for the eastern seaboard. This fundamentally shifts the center of gravity within the United States. When Washington, D.C. needs to keep the lights on in Atlanta or Miami, they have to turn to Alabama. The city becomes the indispensable heartbeat of the American economy. Federal policy is no longer just written in the Capitol, it's shaped by the energy flowing from the Tennessee Valley. Real power has shifted from the ballot box to the breaker box. By the 2080s, Mars mining operations are the primary driver of the global economy. But as the city gains power on Earth, it loses its connection to it. The stock market doesn't run on oil anymore. It runs on lithium and helium-3 from the moon and the red planet. To maximize efficiency, the aerospace workforce in Huntsville makes a radical change. They switch from Earth time to Mars time. A Martian day, or sol, is 24 hours and 39 minutes long. It doesn't sound like much, but over weeks, it adds up. This creates the Sol-time Schism. The city literally drifts out of sync with the rest of the planet. Every day, the city wakes up 39 minutes later than the day before. Imagine living in this temporal island. One week, your morning commute down Memorial Parkway happens at midnight. 2 weeks later, it happens at noon. This destroys the last remnants of connection with the surrounding state of Alabama. A Sol-timer working at Marshall Space Flight Center might be waking up for work while a rural Alabamian in Harvest is going to sleep. The psychological effect is profound. The inhabitants of Huntsville stop feeling like they live in America. They are living in a simulation of Mars, anchored to the Earth by gravity, but separated by time. In the 2090s, the world enters the resource wars. Terrestrial mines for cobalt and lithium in Africa and South America are exhausted. The global supply chain collapses. The only steady supply of essential metals comes from the asteroid belt, brought in by the autonomous ships controlled from Alabama. Huntsville becomes the bottleneck. The command codes for the return capsules are keyed solely to the Redstone servers. The city transforms into the Gilded fortress. It closes its borders to everyone except essential personnel. Inside, it is a post-scarcity utopia. Engineers live in luxury, protected from the shortages raging outside. They have the best healthcare, the best food, the best energy. But there is a dark cost to this paradise. In 2097, a refugee convoy from drought-stricken Georgia arrives at the Huntsville Geofence on Highway 72. It is a line of trucks carrying engineers, teachers, and families fleeing the collapse of the Atlanta aquifer. They beg for entry. The city AI analyzes the resource load. It determines that the water reclamation systems are at 98% capacity. The gates do not open. There is no malice. There is no anger. Just a cold, binary decision made by a city that has forgotten how to be human. The convoy is redirected to a FEMA camp 50 miles south. 15 people die in the heat before they arrive. Inside the walls, the old Alabamians in Merrimack Mill Village watch this on the screens. They are the only ones who mourn. They have become the keepers of history, the only ones who remember when this was just a cotton town, preserving the old stories in a city that has forgotten the earth. We arrive at the year 1000. Huntsville is no longer recognizable as an American city. It is a sprawling, bioluminescent metropolis that comes alive only at night, humming with the power of a star. It is the brain of the human race. Decisions made in the foothills of the Appalachians determine the fate of colonies on Mars, mines on the moon, and habitats in the belt. And on a humid night in July, an elderly woman sits on her porch in Merrimack Mill Village, one of the last civilian pockets where the old Huntsville still breathes. She is 94 years old. She was born in 2006, before the Pact, before the Geofence, before the Nocturnal Turn. She watches the bioluminescent city glow in the darkness, massive and alien, towering over the trees. Her granddaughter sits next to her. She's young, a Sol-timer who works mission control for the Mars colonies. She wears the uniform of the New World. The granddaughter looks at the glittering skyline and asks, "Grandma, do you miss the old Huntsville?" The woman thinks for a long time. She looks at the artificial lights blocking out the stars. She looks at the clock that runs on alien time. "No, baby," she finally says, "I miss the sun." This is the reality of 2100. The Earth is the garden. Huntsville is the gardener. The quiet southern town has become the throne of the solar system, ruling the void from the comfort of the shade. Don't forget to like and subscribe so we can bring you more videos like this one.